Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all of his statements regarding New Zealand-born Australian detainees in Australia?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, that wasn't actually the question.
Order. Listen, I think it was close enough, and frankly, that's a matter for me to attend to. Okay. I prefer the Prime Minister to answer it.
Yes.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Mr. Speaker, does he stand by his statements on Radio New Zealand this morning that he hasn't been told how many New Zealand-born Australian detainees on Christmas Island have convictions for rape or murder?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, yes, at the time that I made that statement. What I can say is that Minister Amy Adams' office was today actually presented by the Australian Government a very detailed list of the sorts of offences committed by New Zealanders on Christmas Island. It's unlikely for privacy reasons she'll be able to release that, but I can give you a flavour. I can give you a flavour of the types of people. I can give the House a flavour of the types of people.
Order. Can I ask the Prime Minister to resume his seat? I would have thought there was interest in this answer, but it's not going to be heard if the level of interjection continues from my immediate left. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
So I can give the House a flavour. Some of them are offences I don't even think the House would want me to read out, but others include, for instance, indecent treatment or dealings with a child under 16, the murder of an individual, manslaughter of an individual, armed robbery and robbery with actual violence, aggregated assault with weapons against their own child, assaulting police officers, common assault and family violence, drug supply and possession, grievous bodily harm and weapon possession stalking. Mr. Speaker, that sits on the back of the information we have from Australia that as of May 31, 2015, 585 New Zealanders are pending visa cancellation. Of those, 50 are involved in rape, sex offences or child sex offences.
Supplementary.
Order. 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 Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Given that of the 199 detainees on Christmas Island, that roughly 130 have convictions for offences such as prison for cannabis supply and a fifth conviction for shoplifting, in this case worth $1,300, and that the vast majority are of sentences at the low end of the scale, how does he justify his disgraceful statements in the House yesterday?
The Right Honourable
Mr. Speaker, because they have the advantage of being true. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the member gets his information, but we have the information by name, by offence. I can read them out again if the member wants, but let me quote from the Minister of Immigration in Australia yesterday, who gave an interview to the Australian media and said about the detainees on Christmas Island, quote, "It is a hardened criminal population that occupies the Immigration Detention Centre on Christmas Island. They are people whose risk profile is based not just on conviction, but on their activity within detention or within the community as well. It may be that they've threatened officers or they've carried out acts against other detainees. There are a number of reasons why they are there. The vast majority of people within the Christmas Island Detention Centre are serious criminals."
Supplementary.
They're Australian.
Order. Order.
They're Australian.
Order. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Given that most of the detainees are people who have lived virtually all their lives in Australia, why should New Zealand shoulder responsibility for these people? Stand up for what's right, pick up the phone and talk to Malcolm Turnbull.
Order. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, because we have a legal obligation to take them back to New Zealand, but Mr. Speaker, let us just understand this one point. If you were a New Zealander that went to Australia prior to 2001, as a resident, you had a pathway to citizenship, which would mean if you gained that citizenship, you could not be deported to New Zealand.
Order. One
Government and one person stopped that. It's called the Labor government and Helen Clark.
Order.
That's where
Order.
7 long years.
Order.
You can't lie straight on me.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he accept that for the majority of New Zealand-born detainees whose offending is at the lower end of the scale, their best chance of rehabilitation is to stay close to their families and the community they know, which is in Australia?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, firstly, of the information that I have, the 585 New Zealanders as of 31 May 2015, will just allow me to, and I'm happy to do it for you, mate. Okay, so of the 585 as of 31 May 2015, here are the sorts of characterisations. Murder, 22. Child sex offenders, 34. Rape, 16.
Order. I have a point of order from Andrew Little.
Mr. Speaker, I did not ask for the statistics which are being massaged by the Prime Minister. I asked him, does he accept that for people in the circumstances I described, it is better for them to stay in Australia than come here?
I don't need assistance on. No, I don't need assistance from the Prime Minister. As I recall the question, it was how does accepting that the majority are there on relatively minor convictions. Does he not accept the best chance of rehabilitation is by remaining in Australia? The Prime Minister's rebutting part of that by saying he doesn't feel that many of them are there on minor convictions. Listen, my job here is to adjudicate as to whether the question's been addressed. On that occasion, the question has been addressed. I accept, not to the satisfaction of the member. The way forward then is further supplementaries. Andrew.
No,
Well, I've heard enough.
Just making it up.
No. Order. Prime Minister resume his seat. The answer's been given. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why did his government take no action in December 2014 when he was first told Australia was going to deport hundreds of New Zealand-born Australians for committing lower-level crimes such as shoplifting and driving offences? So Bill won't have the answer.
Order. The Right Honourable
Speaker,
Prime Minister.
well, the Minister of Justice informs me the direction was signed on the 22nd of December. At the first available meeting I had with the Prime Minister of Australia, Tony Abbott, we did that in the bilateral in February. We've continued to have those discussions the whole way through. Mr. Speaker, the Ministers of Justice and Immigration have talked the way through. We've been working through the Memorandum of Understanding. When the opposition say the government's done nothing, let's get a few facts right. We have got an assurance from the Australian government that deportees can be sent to New Zealand and have their assessment done for their appeal in New Zealand. We have doubled the resources in there, Mr. Speaker. We have added the extra resources there. We've made sure there's a memorandum of understanding, and we've made a significant number of representations. Actually, the leader of the opposition met with the Australian Prime Minister.
No, the answer's now going on too long. Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Tell us what his response is to the former National Party Minister Hugh Templeton's call for him to display some leadership and statesmanship on this matter.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member will appreciate Hugh Templeton goes a long way back into the New Zealand Parliament. I wasn't here then, so maybe he'd like to remind me of the context of it all.
Order. Order. Supplementary. Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why has he said that New Zealand-born Australians detained in Australia at the completion of their sentences are free to return at any time, and now says that he hasn't even got the legislation ready to manage their return and it can take up to 20 weeks for them to get here anyway?
The Right Honourable
Mr.
Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
firstly, I've never said it could take up to 20 weeks. The members said that and it's not correct. Mr. Dutton confirmed once again yesterday, that in fact confirmed last night that they can come within 2 weeks if they're the worst, absolute worst end of things. And the legislation is going to be ready in the House next week. I hope the members votes for it.
Order. Question number 3, Paul Foster-Bell.
Tēnā koe te mana whakawā.